Rose Riley, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County. Welcome to our online candidate forum for the November 8th general election. The League is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that promotes voter education and participation, and we host candidate forums to help voters make informed choices. Now, let's hear from the candidates.
November general election for Ann Arbor Mayor, Independent Eric Lipson and Democrat Christopher Taylor. Thank you, candidates, for agreeing to participate in the forum. And we're now ready for your opening statement. Mr. Lipson.
Thanks very much to the League of Women Voters for holding this very important forum. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Lipson. I'm an attorney. I have lived in Ann Arbor since the 70s when I graduated from U of M Law School. I love this city. I've been a Democrat all my life, but I'm running as an independent in November because I have a different vision for the future of Ann Arbor than the current administration. I believe that Ann Arbor can grow and prosper without losing the uniqueness and all of the things that we value about Ann Arbor. I think that the residents of Ann Arbor should have the final word on how our city should grow. Today, a small group of developers and land speculators are shaping our future. It is they who are the beneficiaries of all of the zoning changes now in the works that are designed to create downtown type development on so-called transit corridors. My goal will be to conduct an open and transparent administration to serve all of Ann Arbor. Let us complete the new comprehensive land use plan before we make drastic changes that will affect adjacent neighborhoods and the small businesses that are the lifeblood of the city. Thank you.
And now, Mr. Taylor, we have your opening statement.
Thank you very much. It's my tremendous pleasure to be here today. I am Christopher Taylor. I'm the mayor of Ann Arbor, and I've had the pleasure and honor of serving as mayor since 2014. Since 2014, I've had a fairly consistent focus in local government. We need to improve basic services, enhance quality of life for everyone. We've done that through continuing our financial status. We have a AA+ bond rating. We have a strong fund balance. We're expanding road repair. We just passed a road bond, and you'll see lots of road construction over the next couple of years. We've also enhanced quality of life by keeping folks out of the criminal legal system with divergence and deflection. We've expanded with hundreds of units of new permanent affordable housing, passed a Crown Act, improved our LGBTQ protections, and we continue to support communities up and down the line. We know that affordability, climate action, and equity are at the center of quality of life, in addition to the basic services that it is our pleasure and obligation to provide at City Hall. If I should be so fortunate as to be elected mayor, I will continue in that effort.
Thank you. We will now turn to the questions, and we'll begin with, let me get this right. Yes, Mr. Taylor first. And here's the first question, it has to do with land use. Please summarize for us your position on the role of high density real estate development in Ann Arbor's future.
Well, we all know that we have a real problem in our city, and that problem is affordability. With affordability comes all sorts of other ancillary problems because, in America, that housing and income inequity leads to racial and other demographic inequities and segregation, and that's simply unacceptable. We need to ensure that we are able to expand housing supply in the city of Ann Arbor because, frankly, supply and demand is real, and we don't have extra land. We are not going to turn over city land. We're not going to turn over city parks or natural areas for housing, and so high density along transit corridors in particular and in our downtown is where we are able to make real impactful change. And it's my plan that we do so. We as a city are going to be building hundreds, if not over 1,000 units of new permanent affordable housing on city-owned parcels, but we can't solve the problem by ourselves. We've just passed some important zoning changes down by Briarwood in order to enable transit-oriented development. Transit-oriented development whereby we will have hopefully thousands of new Ann Arborites who presently work in Ann Arbor now able to live here in Ann Arbor. These units, this housing will be more attainable because of its nature and will also be on transit corridors. It's going to improve the quality of life for everyone because it will bring people into our city. It will expand the folks who live in our community. It'll expand and improve our economic diversity, and by extension, our demographic diversity. Right now, the housing insecurity and housing prices really have a quality of life impact on people in the city of Ann Arbor, and we need to do everything we can to fix it. And our only tool is through zoning. Our only tool is through expanded housing supply. We can't control the rents, so what we need to do is expand housing supply so that everyone who works in Ann Arbor is able to live in Ann Arbor.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Lipson.
Thank you. I believe that we have to have responsible controls on development. Despite the rhetoric, there is no empirical evidence that the upzoning of areas like the traffic corridor, the TC1, that we're currently embarking on will in fact create affordability or sustainability or walkability. In those communities where it has been tried, it has created more problems than it has solved. Why is that? And why is it that in Ann Arbor, what are we doing in Ann Arbor? None of the required we're not requiring or incentivizing in these new zoning districts anything for affordability or sustainability. That is what we should be doing. Take a look at South University, for example, or Lower Town. None of those new high-end developments are fostering affordability or retail uses. There's no retail where South Main Market used to be. My neighborhood used to have 2 grocery stores within walking distance. Now we have the George with no retail. So I don't think that the Ann Arbor of the future should be shaped by land speculators, but by the citizens in the upcoming revision of the comprehensive land use plan before we make these drastic changes that will affect the city for decades. We all want Ann Arbor to be diverse and welcoming and affordable place to live. And I'm running for mayor because I want to foster that future where we, the people, get to decide the future of our city, and that we don't abdicate our responsibility, or that the city does not abdicate its responsibility to donors and to land speculators. I think that I would like the city, the residents of the city, to determine what the future will be. Thank you.
The next question, and we'll start with Mr. Lipson on this one, has to do with the Gelman dioxin plume. Environmental contamination from the Gelman dioxin plume continues to threaten Ann Arbor. How do you propose to address this issue? And do you believe the plume should be declared a Superfund site?
Absolutely. I have been a member of the Coalition for Remediation of Dioxin for 6 years. We have been advocating for Superfund status for all that time. The current administration has been more concerned with property values than they have been with human health and safety. The plume has been spreading without any good remediation. If the EPA steps in, they will make the polluters pay. We have been engaged in what has been futile litigation. In fact, the Court of Appeals just overturned the last lawsuit in which the city was an intervener. We now no longer have any status. So Superfund status becomes that much more important. As far as property values go, it's been proven in past cases that, in fact, property values increase in areas declared a Superfund site because people know that there is something happening to remediate the problem. This is an urgent problem, and is one that we cannot ignore any longer or try to claim that the legal system is going to help us out. We need Superfund status as quickly as possible. That would be one of my highest priorities. The CARD has been meeting for many years. I've never seen the mayor at any of those meetings. So I don't know what his priorities are in that respect. But it is certainly a priority for me. And it is a priority for, I think, the citizens of Ann Arbor, because we cannot allow what was one of the most pristine aquifers in the state to continue to be degraded, especially since it is very, very close to our water supply right now. So the sooner we get EPA status, the better. That's my position. That's a Superfund site. Thank you.
And Mr. Taylor.
Well, we can't take anything off the table when we are working to fight the polluter and keep Ann Arbor's water safe. That's the bottom line. We need to pursue all channels. We need to work within our means, within the state litigation, and I'm committed to doing so committed to working with the state through that channel. But also now that the EPA has expressed an interest in the site, I'm interested in having that move forward as well. The bottom line is that this is a decades-long problem, and it's going to be a decades-long solution. When I first became mayor, our focus was to reduce the drinking water standard to a more advantageous level. When I became mayor, the state's drinking water standard was 85 parts per billion, and that was fundamentally unacceptable. Through important and effective advocacy, we were able to work with our partners at the state to get that drop down to 7.2 parts per billion, which enabled us to get back into court as interveners, which enabled us to get the process underway now. We've had a little bit, we have had a stumble with the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals overturned one of the judge's actions, and we're going to go back into court and see where that leaves us. The bottom line is, however, that there is improved monitoring, and we're doing that on our own too with respect to the city. There is expanded cleanup, and we can't ever stop. I'm looking forward to EPA engagement, and certainly hope that they will come in and take care of it. Whether they will or not, I don't know. What I've always been told is that by folks who are experienced in these matters, that where there is a known polluter, where there is a state agency on board, that EPA is reluctant to take action. Both those conditions are here. What we need to do also is make sure that our water treatment plant is up to date, fully capitalized, and ready to engage the contaminant and all other contaminants if they do hit the river where we get our drinking water. And that's something that I'm very much committed to.
Thank you. Okay, we turn next to affordable housing. What is your vision for the role of, one, private developers, and two, the affordable housing millage funds in increasing affordable units in Ann Arbor? And Mr. Taylor, you're first.
We need all hands on deck when it comes to improving housing affordability here in the city of Ann Arbor. With respect to affordable housing and the millage and the city's action, it was at my initiative, along with Councilmember Ackerman, that we looked to investigate 10 city-owned parcels to determine their suitability for affordable housing. With the passage of the millage, with the city's investigation, I'm incredibly excited about those opportunities. I believe that we are going to be able to build anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 units of new permanent affordable housing throughout the city. And that's going to be incredibly important to expand economic diversity, to fight economic segregation, and to expand racial and other demographic diversities and racial and economic segregation. But we all know that as a state actor, the possibility of our impact is limited by our means. And so we need to be able to utilize other channels to improve affordability, improve housing attainability within the city. And that leads to the market. Where we are able to find private landowners who are interested in building HUD certified affordable housing, I'm going to work with them every step of the way. We have an exciting project down at Viridian where that's taking place, other exciting projects as well that I've always supported. Further and finally, we need to expand supply, because as much as people want to ignore it, supply and demand is not a joke. Supply and demand is the law, and that is why housing prices are becoming unattainable here in the city of Ann Arbor. And so we need to expand housing supply so that more people who work in Ann Arbor are going to be able to live in Ann Arbor. Expanded housing on transit corridors is a great way to accomplish that goal in a manner that is consistent with our 820 goals. It'll put housing and commerce and commercial areas on transit corridors where folks can live together in community, can get in and out of the downtown more easily without a car, and it is part of our solution. Bottom line, we need to do everything we can through all of our channels to make housing more affordable in the city of Ann Arbor.
Mr. Lipson.
Well, affordability is a great challenge, and there are many answers. I agree with the mayor that the affordable millage, the housing affordable, the tax millage that was just passed is a very good start, and it shows that Ann Arborites do care about creating affordable housing. I do not believe, however, that supply and demand is the law. That sounds more like Republican laissez-faire capitalism to me. I would say that what we should be doing is creating more affordable housing using mechanisms that have proven themselves in the past. For example, cooperatives. You look at Arrowwood, you look at university townhouses. Those are places which are still affordable and diverse. Colonial Square is another one. These are things that we can encourage. Cooperatives keep the prices of housing affordable. That's one thing that we can do to create affordability. The other thing we can do is to incentivize affordability and incentivize sustainability so that we all are living, as the mayor said, in an environment in which we are all contributing to climate action and not approving new developments that are not sustainable. So that's also an element of affordability which we have to address. Actually, the Viridian that the mayor talked about, I think is a great example of possible walkability. And that is a private development. But the other private developments on the transit corridors, for example, or on South University, or the Forge, or any of these new high-rise developments, by their very nature, cannot be affordable. The cost per square foot of that kind of housing is not affordable. We're just a tiny part of the bigger picture in southeastern Michigan's housing affordability equation. We can do what we can, but what we have to do is be more aggressive about it and not merely allow the market to dictate the costs of housing. Thank you.
Thank you. We now turn to the environment and climate. Ann Arbor has committed to A20. What specific steps do you propose to make this a reality, and how will the steps be paid for? Mr. Lipson.
The sustainability is something that we all have to take very, very seriously. I do salute the city for having, in fact, approved of a PUD, a planned unit development on the old Y lot, which would be both affordability and sustainability components. Now, we should be doing that for other areas like TC1. We are at this point just abdicating our responsibility by allowing uncontrolled development in those corridors. There's no controls for sustainability, walkability, or affordability. We need to incentivize that. We need to do something affirmative, not just let the market shape our future, because these developments will be there for the next 50 years. The current council has been approving numerous developments which have clear-cut some of our most precious properties like Concord Pines, which we could have preserved using the millage which the city has already passed for the Greenbelt. At 30% of that was supposed to be used in the city, and only 9% is being used. So we have to look at this holistically. We have to keep our quality of life high by both encouraging sustainability and affordability at the same time, but also by encouraging it in ways that give the developers incentive and encourage them to do that, not just give them a free ticket to develop as high and as dense as they want. And that's what's going on now in the transit corridors. The people at Stadium Boulevard, for example, made many suggestions, and none of them were taken to improve the quality of that development.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor.
So I am incredibly and enthusiastically committed to accomplishing our A20 goal. Our A20 goal is to achieve community-wide carbon neutrality by the year 2030. It will not be easy, but it is something that we can do if we put our minds to it. And if we put our dollars to it. I have proposed, and the voters will be considering at this election, a community climate action millage. The community climate action millage is 1 mil, 20 years. which will fund the city side of our A20 program. It's going to enable us to build massive solar arrays, to build solar arrays on our landfills, to commission solar fields in order to provide the city with clean 100% renewable energy. It'll support rooftop solar in neighborhoods and on city buildings. It'll create electric appliance discounts for residents to enable us all to move away from gas in our homes towards electrification. It'll provide energy programs to provide lower cost and increased comfort to residents in our lower income areas. It'll develop neighborhood resilience centers to protect against climate change's consequences. And it'll also support the building of miles of new bikeways, bike lanes, and sidewalks. The bottom line is that we need to do everything we can in order to change the way that we do things, in order to expand solar, to expand renewable energy, and to work towards our A20 goals. We are able to do these things through our Office of Sustainability and Innovation. The city has made great strides towards reducing its greenhouse gas emissions over the past years. And I'm very confident that we'll be able to accelerate that going forward in the event that the millage passes. Our cooperation with the university and other partners is exciting and burgeoning. And I believe that this is something that the residents of the city of Ann Arbor demand, look forward to, and will receive the benefit of, both in the short term and the long term.
Thank you. We're moving on to question number 5, which has to do with money and politics. Please describe to us how you screen campaign contributions and how you balance your values with the objectives of others. And Mr. Taylor, you're up again.
Screening campaign contributions, I guess over time, when campaign contributions come in, you look to see who they are. And if for some reason that's not a donation you wish to accept, then you decline it. I received a campaign contribution from an individual with a history in town of speaking out on Washtenaw Avenue on Saturdays. And I didn't accept that campaign contribution. I turned around and actually doubled it in my own campaign's contribution to the Anti-Defamation League as a consequence. The bottom line is that that campaign contributions and the running of political campaigns is part of politics. It is part of communicating to residents. In terms of balancing values, this is not something that troubles me. People contribute to a campaign and because they believe that your values are driving towards an Ann Arbor that is successful for everyone. And I have received support from a wide variety of Ann Arbor residents, hundreds of folks throughout the city reaching out and offering their support, financial, and more importantly, with their sweat equity, knocking doors, distributing literature, holding house parties and the like. These are where folks in Ann Arbor contribute to the political environment, where folks in Ann Arbor get their message out. I am always excited about talking to anyone in the city of Ann Arbor who is interested in building a better community for everyone, who's interested in a local government that works, where we focus on improving basic services, enhancing quality of life for folks throughout the community. That's been the way that I have operated since I joined City Council in 2008, since I became mayor in 2014, and as I hope to continue going forward.
Thank you. Mr. Lipson.
Well, the issue of campaign contributions troubles me very much because we are running a grassroots campaign. I don't have a contributor who's contributed more than $1,000, and none of them are from corporations. I should note that the public record shows that the mayor has accepted money from developers, not just developers. For example, the one person who controls 20% of the newly upzoned area around South University, and that would be Jeff Houtman of Oxford Properties, who is the resident agent for 20% of those properties, and just happens to be the biggest donor to the mayor, one of the biggest donors to the mayor and his entire slate. I find that unacceptable. This seems like a quid pro quo. He gives contributions, he gets an incredible bonus, that is the Oxford properties, because all of that property that was upzoned immediately appreciates in value. Not only that, but the upzoning was so irregular. It is not usually the practice to upzone 80 or 60 properties in all at once. It is usually allowed that 1 or 2 properties will individually apply. So the fact that 2 of the members of the Planning Commission, for example, who are appointees of the mayor, had to disqualify themselves from because of a direct conflict of interest shows you which way this government is currently leaning. I, again, want to put the balance of power back to the people of Ann Arbor. I want them to have a say when we review and revise the comprehensive plan, not just upzone everything before the election in a hurry and is a one size fits all. As I said before, the people around the TC1 on Stadium, they made all sorts of suggestions about how it could be improved. And then the planning department came up with some potential suggestions, and none of them were adopted. So this shows the influence of big money on our elections.
Thank you. We turn now to a question about basic services. Earlier this year, the city approved borrowing to fund road repairs, the interest on which will be paid from road millage revenue. How will these bonds be paid off? If the city must borrow to provide basic services, do we need to reprioritize city spending? And Mr. Lipson, you're up.
Well, I have to admit, I'm not that familiar with the structure of the new plan for bonding city roads. This was a plan, as far as I know, that was originated by Mr. Dehoney, and I applaud him for coming up with a way to accelerate the pace of improving the city's roadways, because as we all know, right now, the pace, despite the fact that we pay a millage specifically for roads, has been extremely small. The pace has been slow, I should say. So I applaud him for any kind of creative solution. Now, as far as how we're going to pay for that, I'm not sure what the interest rates were on those bonds. Cities get the best rates. And I think that people in general are supportive of doing that in order to get the roads brought up to acceptable conditions. Because even though we may be paying in interest, right now, each and every one of us is paying in car repairs because of the poor shape of our streets. In our automobile repairs, we are the ones who are absorbing it now. So I think that people would generally prefer to pay a bond and have better roads and fewer auto repairs than not do that.
Mr. Taylor.
So when with the passage of the road bond, it's not borrowing on a credit card like the federal government. It's borrowing in advance to issuing a bond so as to accelerate the spending that we're going to be making over the course of years. The interest rate was before the Fed took aggressive action, and so I'm really excited about what we're going to be able to deliver to the people of Ann Arbor over the next couple of years. We have, of course, focused on roads for quite some time now. We spend over $30 million a year from our major and local street, road, sidewalk, and bridge funds. Last year in fiscal year 21, we deployed 58.5 miles of preventative road maintenance alone. But we all know that it's not enough, that our roads in Ann Arbor and Southeast Michigan are inadequate. Most of our road money comes from the state. Michigan has been 50th out of 50 in per capita road spending for years. I think now we rocketed up to 46 last time I checked, but we have a decades-old problem. It's going to be a decades-long solution. Bottom line is that Ann Arbor's fiscal health is good. We have a AA+ bond rating. We have a strong fund balance. I and the administration and the council are 100% committed to ensuring that that continues to be true. Fundamentally, we have to provide basic services to everyone: roads, sidewalks, streets, police, fire, water, parks. These are things that we have to do day in and day out. We have to do it in a manner that is sustainable fiscally, and we are committed to doing so. We will not put the city at fiscal risk. We need to be smart about what we do. We need to plan going forward, but we always have to understand that we cannot act outside of our means, and we do not, and we will not.
Thank you. Paul? I have reached the end of my list of questions. So give you a chance to catch your breath and we'll move to closing statements. Mr. Lipson, you're first on that.
Thank you. And once again, thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this important event. You know, my goal, if elected, would be to conduct an open and transparent administration to serve all of Ann Arbor. And again, I say, let us work and complete the new comprehensive land use plan before we make drastic changes that are going to affect our neighborhoods and the small businesses that are the lifeblood of the city. We have lost so many small businesses to uncontrolled development. You look at South University, it used to be a charming area and is now just a valley of high rises with $1,500 a month student apartments. It has not created affordability. We have to work harder to create affordability, and that is one of the things that I'm going to do. And I believe that by having a comprehensive land use plan that makes allowances for affordable and sustainable housing developments, not just single family developments like are being approved now with no controls whatsoever, I think it's important. I think that we all want Ann Arbor to be diverse and welcoming and affordable place to live. And I want to foster an environment where we all get to decide the future of our city. And remember one other thing, you can vote a straight party ticket and then vote independent, vote for mayor separately. And that's something that people don't know, and we're trying to educate people. So once again, thank you to the League of Women Voters for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. And Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. And thank you again for hosting this conversation. My philosophy of local government is that we're here to improve basic services and enhance quality of life. Basic services are things that residents need and use every single day. Clean, fresh drinking water, roads, sidewalks, parks, police, fire who show up on time and do their jobs with professionalism, beautiful parks within a quarter mile of every resident. We also have to enhance quality of life. We have to make sure that we promote equity, that we ensure sustainability, that we improve affordability. These are things that I've worked on as mayor since 2014, and I will continue to work on. Hundreds of units of new permanent affordable housing, greenhouse gas reductions, supporting our communities through Juneteenth, Pride Day, free menstrual products in all public restrooms, which is an initiative that I'm particularly proud of, first in America. We need to continue to improve basic services, pressing the EPA to compel 1,4-dioxane and PFAS cleanup. We need to modernize our water treatment plant, reduce flooding in stormwater improvements, promote equity through an unarmed response safety program, ensure sustainability by an unerring and unyielding commitment to our A20 program. We need to do these things because the future of Ann Arbor is ours together, and it is able to be accomplished and able to be improved by this common effort. It's a task that I've been proud to have performed over the course of the years, and I'm incredibly excited to advance going forward. So I want to thank you, and I hope to have earned your vote in November. Thanks.
Oh, thanks to both of you for participating in this forum.
Thank you.
Voters
Thanks a lot.
Show up soon and decide this. So, good night. Thank you.
The League thanks the candidates and volunteers who participated in tonight's forum and community members who submitted questions. Please urge others to view our forums. Most importantly, please vote in the November 8th general elections, either by absentee ballot or in person.